Hello and welcome to Rock Tumbling Weekly. I'm Shannon and I love rocks and gemstones, and rock tumbling is one of my favorite hobbies. And this is a weekly video journal that helps me document my progress with tumbling different types of rocks and gemstones and record my methods, and you get to follow along for my adventure, good, bad, and ugly, whether it goes right, whether it goes wrong. But I'm excited about what's in the barrels today. It's a nice warm day. The birds are chirping right here. So yeah, I'm well caffeinated. I've had several cups of coffee and I'm ready to dive into these barrels and see what they look like today. So let's get started. Here's the Lavic siding Jasper after about 2 months in course. And this is a contest stone. And if you're interested in joining the rock tumbling contest, the link is in the description below. But, you know, even though it's been so long in course, it still needs some more. I've identified about 5 that have potential, but like, see this one here still needs a little bit of smoothing. And last week I actually put in more coarse than I normally do because, you know, the coarse was getting ground down and it looked like it can handle it. And I'll probably do the same this week so that I can get some of these specimens that are close, really get them into good shape for moving on to the next stages. All right, let's get this back in its barrel. Here's the Girasol Opal after 2 weeks in course. And while it is looking a little smoother, there's still a lot of like flaws and pits and cracks that could be worked out. Girasol Opal seems to be a bit chippy. Where quartz seems to bruise, this seems to have pieces just chip off. There were chips at the bottom of the barrel. So I'm just going to make sure that it's got a lot of cushion, which you can see the amount of ceramic media I have in here. There's a lot. So, all right, I'll get this cleaned up back in course, and we'll take a look at it again next week. Now, the Obsidian has just finished its 3rd week in course, and it's looking really smooth, although I have some gold sheen Obsidian in there. I noticed here's a piece of silver sheen right there. So nice. And I did chisel down a few of these that looked like they had potential to break apart. And, oh look, there's another piece of gold sheen right there. And I can't seem to find the ones that I chiseled, so I guess those chiseled parts smoothed down really well. But I think that it's had enough time in course. And as soon as the tumble vibe is free, then I'm going to move this batch to the tumble vibe and start tumbling it with the sugar mixture so that we can get this nice and shiny. Love this batch of rough. This is a phenomenal batch of rough. All right, let's get this cleaned off. The tree agate has just finished 1 week in course, and so it's like roughed off all of the dirt and everything that just hides the natural stone beauty. And now we see what these pieces are going to look like. Look at that. Gorgeous. Green and white. I mean, it still has a ways to go because there's a lot of shaping left to do here. So we're going to get this back in course, and this might take you know, maybe 4 to 5 weeks in course. But I look forward to seeing it shape. Oh, so pretty. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. Gorgeous. All right, I'll get this back in the barrel with more coarse grit. Here is the batch of Celestite, and it just finished 2 days in fine grit. And I noticed something interesting. A lot of these have like split in half, just along cleavage planes. And so, yeah, a lot of them have this really like super smooth flat part that just indicates that they just split right in half. So I'm going to stop tumbling these in wet polish. It looks like they're just kind of splitting in half. So I'm going to dry these off and get these in the next dry polish barrel that I have open. And then we can see what kind of a shine they take. But as you can see, I'm going to have to pick out lots of little pieces because here's another example where it's just flat. Yeah, because these are just splitting right in half. Okay, all right, let me get these separated from the ceramic media and dried off, and I will get them into dry polish. Okay, I still have about 1.5 pounds left of Celestite, and I'm gonna start this again, but this time with a very strict 1 day in each stage process. None of this forgetting about it for a few days. So 1 day in each stage, then in dry polish, and we can see how it works for this batch. All right, let me get this in the barrel and get it started for 1 day. The Crazy Lace Agate has just finished a week in extra fine grit to get the surface really super smooth and ready for polish. And these are looking just gorgeous. Really lovely. I love the patterns. I love the colors. Oh, so nice. Look at that. So I need to give this an extra good wash since some of these still do have natural pits on it, like the back of this one here. And I want to make sure that absolutely no grit transfers into the polish stage. So I'm going to give this a really good wash cycle, probably a couple of wash cycles in Drift soap and borax and water to get these and the barrels really super clean before I start the polish. So let me get its wash cycle started. The Obsidian has been in the tumble vibe with medium grit for 2 days. And I took it out and rinsed it and looked at it, and you know, it's looking really nice. Of course, as you can see it drying out here, the surface still needs work before we get to polish. So I may leave it in fine grit for 2 days to try to smooth some more of this out. But so far it's looking good to progress. So yeah, super smooth. Loving that sheen on some of these pieces. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to wash these up really good and get them back in the tumble vibe with fine grit, and check on that tomorrow, check on that the next day, and see when it's good to move on to extra fine. right, today I'm breaking out some of the good stuff, and it's more unusual for tumbling, and this is a lapis. I got some really good tumbling lapis recently, and I've been waiting until it just felt right to try it, and I think I'm gonna do it. It's not very common tumbling material, but you know, I'm just really curious and I am ready to give it a try. So I have about 4 pounds here, and I'm going to start it in the rotary barrel. You know, lapis is anywhere from those 5 to 6, depending on the distribution of minerals in the rough. And so I'm going to start it in coarse, and I'm going to check it around 5 days. Ooh, I see a piece with that pyrite in it. And see how it's going, and then I'll just play the rest of the stages by ear, depending on how this starts to look. So let me get this in the barrel in coarse, and we'll check on it in a couple of days. Okay, today I am starting some Smoky Quartz. I've had this rough for a long time, and I've had a lot of people ask me questions recently about tumbling quartzes, and they've had some troubles with quartz. And so I thought I would throw in a traditional quartz, because the Girasol Opal isn't quite traditional like a rose quartz or clear or amethyst. And so I'll take you through the whole process of tumbling a quartz, because while it is hard, it's Mohs hardness 7, it is not very tough and can be very fragile in the barrels. And there are some tips and tricks to that. But this Smoky Quartz is really pretty. As you can see, the depth of darkness varies in the rough. You've got some pieces that are pretty dark here, and some pieces that are fairly light gray. But as this is against a white countertop and paper towel, you can still see that even the lighter ones are more gray than they are clear. All right, so I will get these in the barrel with the coarse grit, and we'll see them again next week. And thank you so much for joining me this week in Rock Tumbling Weekly to see what's going on in all of my barrels and the tumble vibe. And I'm laughing here because while filming this week, behind the scenes really was a hot mess. Just so many things happened that I didn't expect. One, the sunstone really did not turn out well at all. So once again, I'm going back to medium grit, smooth it all out again, and we'll try again. I have some other ideas. This is one stone that, one, it's not an optimum tumbling stone. It really is very tricky. It's not one that people tumble quite often, but now I'm really determined to try to get it right. Now I'm like a pit bull, sunk into the sunstone. So we'll see it again next week after another run in medium. But also, when I was doing my wash cycle of the crazy lace agate, the barrel burst open, and I had soapy water all over the place that I had to clean up. And hey, my counters are all really nice and clean now because it was soapy water and not slurry. So that was a blessing. But yeah, I have a lot of things going. I have the vibe, and all but one barrel running right now. So it's pretty busy. I thank you so much for joining me. And if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see how I tumble a wide variety of gemstones, whether I succeed or not, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and you won't miss a single gemstone video. Thanks, and I'll see you again next week.